Introduction. Benjamin Markovits said, "Athletes, maybe even more than other people, depend on the myths they can tell about themselves." We all tell our own story. Look at a block of flats and you'll see 1,000 souls, all starring in their own drama, telling and retelling their own lives. I moved to France to continue my professional rugby story. I'd given England a bash and hadn't made the top division. This was a bit of a last go, a chance to do something different, live somewhere I'd always wanted to live. French rugby always held a romantic appeal for me. The laissez-faire approach to life, learning the language and the thrill of jouer when everything comes off miraculously. Famous French wins against the All Blacks in 1999, or even heroic defeats like the World Cup final in 2011, the European dominance of the swashbuckling Stade Toulousain in the 2000s, with homegrown players slinging the ball everywhere, their insouciance combined with the sheer joy of playing so expressively. My years there did give me these experiences. I learned the language, threw the ball around and lived with a degree of insouciance for a while. Later, things began to rub against me, shaking me out of my complacency, and I began to question what I was doing there. The team began to think the same thing. This story is about the things I learned or didn't learn over my career, how professional rugby works, and what you do when you realise that what you're doing isn't enough for you anymore. What I'll tell you about in this book is not necessarily right, and others who are there could disagree. The events I describe are true to the best of my recollection, and how I feel about these things may be tempered by time and perspective, a gradual shaping of my own history. I'm now retired from playing, and don't necessarily miss it. I'm not beholden to sensitivity or reputation in the way that a higher profile player is, although I will withhold some details to save potential embarrassment, or just to do right by some of my former teammates. My gay teammate doesn't need outing by me, even if he was happy for everyone at the club to know about him. My teammates taking drugs don't need naming, even if they may not still be playing. To know that these things happen in the context of professional sport is insight enough. Some of the insights may be easy to dismiss as things that only happen at a lower level, not at the more rarefied echelons of the game. I can tell you that many of these things are universal, and that money doesn't make people essentially different. It just gives them greater resources to indulge their similar impulses. Where top players vary from the likes of me is in the diversity of their experiences. They play the same teams every year. They visit the same stadiums every year. They play against the same guys, by and large, every year. A guy like me has a far more diverse range of rugby experiences, and in this book, I'll attempt to communicate them to you. I gained an English literature degree before embarking on my professional rugby career proper, and have always fancied the idea of writing a book. Infrequent attempts at writing things up to this point have been me paying lip service to this idea, but perhaps not really believing in it. The pages of a book are an easy place to fail, and I became someone scared to fail, both on the field and away from it. Simultaneously, I've regarded myself as something of a scholar athlete, finishing my studies and continuing to learn while I've been playing, most notably by learning French. This book is partly me justifying my self-proclaimed status as a platonic scholar athlete, partly a way of showing you what's behind the curtain of professional rugby in another country. Stories can keep us alive and moving forward, even as they exert a pull back into the past. In sport, you're always looking back at where you've come from what you've just done, and at what's coming next weekend. But you never feel more alive than you do in the moment, on the field, where you can forget about everything else. That's why we all play. Crafting your own story is something we do every day, with everything we do. Here I'm writing my own history. Moving to France wasn't an attempt at writing history, I just didn't have a job and felt that this could be my next adventure. That adventure became something unique and special, being a part of building a new bastion of rugby in a non-traditional rugby region. Now that adventure's over, but I get to tell my version of it here. I hope you enjoy it.